Hello and welcome. We have today's weekly show on creative success, and today's show is all about how do you manage sales and production, your sales and your creativity. So make sure you've got the sound turned on so that you don't miss an absolute thing. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Una Doyle. I'm the founder of creativeflow.tv and a business coach for creatives and their teams. Now, this question came in from some LinkedIn conversations that I've had, and it's also something that comes up a lot with my clients as well. So I thought it would be really good to do a show, and I've broken it down into 5 steps of things that you can do to make sure that you're kind of balancing your sales and your production in your creative services business. Okay, so if you're a photographer, a filmmaker, you do graphic or web design or development, then this is the perfect place for you to be. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to touch on later is I've got a great free resource for you as well, and if I'm going to pop that into the comments for you so that you can get that afterwards, and that's 21 tools to increase your sales. I'll talk about that afterwards, but first what I want to do is actually have a look at, well, you know, why is it that it's so important to be able to balance your sales and your production effectively? So one of the reasons is to avoid chaos. Now, I know as creatives, you know, it's not that we want to have everything absolutely tied down into, you know, a really tight routine and there's absolutely no freedom or anything. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you having to turn yourself into a kind of stuffy suit kind of thing. That's not what this is about. But if there is complete chaos, then the chances are you are going to be overworked. And we most definitely do not want that. We don't want you overworked. We don't want you overwhelmed. We want you to be doing work that you're proud of and to be able to really deliver, you know, great value to your clients. So the other reason why it's so important to be able to balance and manage the time you spend on your sales and your production is to avoid the kind of feast and famine roller coaster that can happen otherwise. Have you ever experienced this? Pop it in the comments if you have. Have you ever found that you work really hard and you have this client and they think you're the hero to them? You have solved their problem, you know, you've done a great job for them, and they think it's fantastic, and you finish the work and you're like, oh no, where's my next job coming from? How am I going to pay my bills? So, you know, let me know in the comments if you have experienced this yourself. And even where you have, you know, it's a small company and it's not just you, the same thing can happen because, you know, you've got a few different people involved, and who's doing what, and how do you make sure that you're actually managing things between you as well. It's perhaps a bit more complex, but you're not yet big enough to have all the kind of systems and structures in place. So the other reason why this can happen, you know, why it's important that this doesn't happen, is because it basically stunts your growth. Now, I know you don't want that. If you're a creative, you probably have got big plans and big ideas. You know, we're very good at, you know, coming up with a bigger picture and really exciting visions. So I know that you're not going to want to feel stuck where it's like you kind of feel like you're going on this hamster wheel of, you know, work and then trying to get more clients in, and then you're trying to do work and you're trying to get more clients in. And, you know, if it's just feeling you know, like too much hard work and you're a bit all over the place, then you're not going to be able to do your best work, really, are you? So these are the reasons why it's so important that you do actually learn how to manage the time between your sales and your creativity, you know, your production. So why is it so challenging in the first place? Okay, I mean, you might be looking around and looking at other businesses and kind of going, well, they don't seem to have this problem, you know, but some of them will, but you might be going, oh, they don't seem to be. So what is it that's so different in a creative services business? Well, you know, one of the things is that, you know, as creatives, we tend to avoid structure. So a lack of structure can be a big reason why. And really, as long as you are kind of bringing, you know, clients in and you know how to do that, then, you know, you've got to be starting to put some kind of structure in place. And I'll show you how to do that in an easy way. And the other thing is that because of this lack of kind of processes and systems, then quite often us creatives can end up reinventing the wheel. I have done this a lot myself in the past. I now know not to do that. Save your creativity for where it really matters. Okay, that's one of the things I'm always talking, saying to my clients. Another reason is that it's really easy to kind of, throw mud at the wall, that you kind of, there's so many things that you can do, both in terms of delivering to your clients and in terms of bringing sales in. And so it can be really easy to be doing, this activity and this activity and this activity and this activity and that activity and that activity. But maybe you don't know what works, or if it does work, why it works, and what way you can replicate it and things like that. So these are some of the things that can, hold people back in making sure that they have, a good balance, and they're getting enough work done on the sales and business development and enough work on the actual your creative production as well. Okay, so let's talk about these 5 steps. And by the way, please pop your comments and questions in the comment box. I want to hear about your experiences. What has worked for you? What have you found most challenging? And I will come to questions afterwards. Okay, great. All right, so the first of the 5 steps is number 1, and even if it's just you, I think it's a really great idea to do this, is I want you to define the roles and responsibilities in your business. Okay, I want you to make a really clear delineation between, okay, so this is kind of some marketing activity and sales activity, and this is admin, and this is customer service, and this is the production, creative production stuff. And so get really clear on the different roles and responsibilities. So imagine, even if you don't have a big team yet, imagine you did have a big team. And then what you need to do is to really be able to prioritize and see, well, where can you add the most value? If you do have business partners or teammates or freelancers or support staff that are helping you out, make sure you are actually giving that work to them. Delegation is a whole other show. I must do that actually. And so this brings us to the second step, where you need to ensure that you're choosing strategies that suit you, okay? Because we all have different levels of strengths and challenges. And so some of you might have seen in previous shows these 8 different personality profiles. And so these are all about, when you understand which of these 8 profiles you are, you understand the best business model, the best marketing strategies for you, the best ways to kind of add value and leverage, your business so that you can really get to grow. And it also applies to your day-to-day activities. What are the tasks and activities that you are going to do best, and that, other ones you either just leave alone and focus on the few things that are going to really work for you, but if you're in the position to be able to delegate or outsource, then you know what to let go of and let other people do. So this is really important. The third step, okay, now this is something that not a lot of people talk about, okay, and it's about structuring your activities and your time and your environment, okay, and the 3 of these things kind of go in place, all right. So the first thing is about, in structuring your activities, you have to make sure that you are planning and prioritizing what needs to be done. And check back, you'll see there's a show I did, Your Next 90 Days. That is fantastic for helping you to plan the next quarter, the next 3 months, to make sure that you get the results that you want. So do check that show out. And also in the free guide, the 21 tools to increase sales, there are several tools that can help you to get more organized and to be able to manage your activities and know when you're supposed to be doing things. The other part of that is actually about structuring your week, okay? So that you might have heard the term time blocking before, if you've ever looked at any kind of time management type approaches, and a lot of traditional time management techniques and tips, they don't really fly with us creative folk, but this is something that really can work and can help you to bring structure to your business, yet still give you a lot of freedom, okay? This is one of the reasons I love it. And so again, we're kind of coming back here to the different, these energies that make up the profiles. And so, when you actually, there are particular tasks that mask each of these energies. And so when you kind of go, okay, well, I have a dynamo day where I'm doing all my creative stuff. I have a tempo day down at the bottom where I'm doing all the more admin grounded stuff and kind of customer delivery. Then there's the, the kind of blaze activities where it's all the people stuff and about all the marketing stuff and going out there. And then you've got the steel where you've got the more introverted, analytical kind of, detailed things. And so when you actually structure your week around that, then that can be fantastic in terms of, making sure that you actually get to maximize the time that you have. So just as an example, my week, now this varies, how you would do this would depend on which profile you are, because whichever profile you are kind of determines where you want to spend the most energy. Now for me, I sit here. Okay, I'm a star profile, so I kind of sit on the corner of these two energies. And so I'm both creative and extroverted. You'd never have guessed from this, would you? And so I start off the day in my weakest energy, which is steel, which is all the kind of analytical things. And so that's where I'm looking at reviewing my measures and looking at systems and processes and things. So if I need to create those or tweak those, then that's the time I would do that. And then, the rest of Monday and Tuesday pretty much is that tempo energy where I'm doing administration and client service. So when I'm doing one-to-one coaching, that is usually when I'm doing it. And even when I'm doing group coaching, like I have a group coaching program and I have 2 calls, and one of those is on a Monday evening, and it's just following through on the energy for that day. Now, I get to do a variety of things within that, but because of the same energy, then I'm not kind of going from boiling water to ice and boiling water again. That, can take, productivity experts say you can lose easily 15-20 minutes between tasks of proper focused concentration time. And that's, when you actually get work done. So then typically on Wednesdays, that is my dynamo day. And that's when I actually get to do creative work. So I do things like preparing the content for these lives, when I do blog writing, when I'm creating, course materials for my membership, forthcoming membership site, basically anything kind of creative like that. The free guide, like the 21 tools, I did a lot of that in my dynamo time. So that's when I get to create. And usually I will spend one day on that, and then I will spend 2 days doing blaze activities where I'm networking, holding meetings, reaching out to people, and kind of more marketing type stuff and getting in front of people. Now, it doesn't always go exactly like that. And this is one of the great things, is that you can have structure, but have it flexible. And the other thing to take it to kind of note is that it's really important the environment that you are in when you are working to tasks of these different energies. So for instance, if I'm going to be doing that kind of outreach, marketing type work, I often don't do that at my desk. I might go and do that either, in the living room, or I go to a cafe. Obviously, if I'm having meetings, because it's having that kind of buzz around you, if I need some thinking time, I might go for a walk in the woods. And that, I'm stimulated by nature and kind of people passing by and things like that. So it just all depends. You've got to find the right environment. If I need to do detailed work, then I want a clear work surface. I need to be free of distractions. So because it's hard enough for me to do that kind of work. So, you got to make it as easy as possible. So this is, there's a lot in this, but it's not something that many people pay attention to, really. Okay, so the 4th step is to track and tweak. Okay, now, I was talking about how one of the challenges is that quite often people don't know what works and what doesn't. And quite often with service businesses in the creative industries, the first thing you got to do to be growing your business is to be doing quite manual lead generation and, kind of sales funnels and that. Because you've got to make sure that stuff works before you actually, are sharing it. And I've got, I've got some great quotes here. yeah, I mean, just you might have heard the thing, measure what you treasure. You know, I think that's really important. And think of it in terms of, you know, look at the activities that you need to do in order to achieve your objectives, both for client production work as well as for you to get your sales in. And then look at, well, okay, so how much of those activities need to take place in order for me to get the results? And then track that. So track the activities on a daily and weekly basis. And then on a weekly and monthly basis, track the results you have. Okay, so think about it this way. Imagine if you wanted to, say you were reaching out to people on social media, for instance, okay? Then and that's actually how this question came up, is from a conversation I was having with somebody on LinkedIn. And so you want to be, you know, looking at, well, how many conversations are you getting to have? And, you know, what are the results from those? But you're looking at the financial figures on a weekly and monthly basis, but you're looking at, okay, well, how many conversations am I having? How many approaches did I make? How many conversations did that have? How many meetings or proposals did that result in? Yeah, so look at it that way and kind of get down into the nitty gritty with it. Now, I know this, you know, for some creative people who, you know, don't have that leaning towards the more technical detail side, it might be a bit more challenging, but just create a simple template and just use it week in, week out. Set reminders on your phone, do what you need to do to set the cues, you know, to remind you to do this and kind of build it up into a habit. Believe you me, it will pay rewards, okay? Because it keeps your focus on things. And even when you have got loads of creative work in, you can still spend a little bit of this every day, or, you know, an hour or two every week, so that you're continuously looking to grow your business and not just kind of abandoning everything as soon as work comes in. But you've also got to be looking at, well, how do you structure the work that you do for clients as well? You know, what is there that you can do to systemize and bring processes into that? And this is what step 5 is all about. So to make sure that, you know, wherever possible, instead of reinventing the wheel, that you get a lovely streamlined process happening. Even if you get somebody else to document what you do, you know, maybe somebody who's a bit more grounded and great at admin, and get them to do that, because when you come to delegate and, you know, you want to really grow your team or teams in your business, then this is going to be way more valuable for you. That it's very easy to do because it's already documented for you, okay? So, and in fact, even in documenting things, because that will go into your subconscious, you will come up with more creative ideas as to how to make those systems and processes even better, particularly when you have got time every week to spend in each of these areas. So you've got time to look at your systems and processes and to review your figures. You've got time to spend on doing some of the detail and client service and delivery. You've got time to be creative. Now, for you, if you do video production or graphic design, you might spend 3 whole days a week or even 4 whole days a week actually doing that client work. And then you look at how do you split up the rest of that time? So these are the decisions you can make depending on what profile you are and how you actually, you know, are getting things to work. Okay, so other things you can look at in terms of systemizing and scaling are client onboarding, your lead generation, and your sales funnels. Okay, so those are quite typical things that I'm often working with, you know, for my clients. Okay, so you know, I think what's important is, you know, when thinking about this, you know, we look at these 5 steps, the roles and responsibilities. Got a great quote here. The way to get things done is not to mind who gets the credit for doing them. That's by Benjamin Jowett. And I think this is really important because it's not about one person being right. It's about getting it right. It's about working together as a team and leveraging off each other's strengths. Because, you know, whether that's, you know, your business partners or employees or perhaps even freelancers that you're kind of bringing into play, then the fact is that you're working together to achieve some objectives, and the more creative flow you have going around that, then the better results you're going to have, not just in terms of managing your time for sales and creative production, but also in terms of being able to have a life so that you're not in chaos and kind of overwork. And in terms of choosing the right strategies, it's really interesting. There's a great quote here. Mark Kane, he's a writer and author. Meticulous planning will enable everything a man does to appear spontaneous. Think about that. It's really interesting, isn't it? Meticulous planning will enable everything a man does to appear, or a woman, to appear spontaneous. So the thing is that, you know, having some structures in your business, creating some productive habits, and that will actually allow you to be more creative and more spontaneous. And I have seen this with my clients, and I've experienced it myself. So it is definitely something you want to do. So choose the right strategies to suit your natural strengths according to, you know, what profile you are, but then also make sure that you are structuring your tasks and activities, you know, and the structuring your time and creating the right environment for the different things that you're doing. You'll be amazed at how much more you'll be able to kind of flow through the week and get miles more done and get much better results in doing that. And then obviously track and tweak, you know, just get some simple templates. You know, if you want to talk to me out, this kind of thing I provide with my clients a lot of the time. And this is the one thing that's really important as well, okay? Because I did this the wrong way years ago, where, you know, when it comes to systemizing and scaling and kind of getting people in to help you with things, Bill Gates said the first rule of any technology used in a business, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an IT system, it simply can be a system or a process, or even a person who is doing things for you, but it's just, you know, when you're looking to scale. So the first rule of any technology used in a business is that automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify the efficiency. The second rule is that automation applied to an inefficient operation will magnify the inefficiency. And this is why it's really important that you make sure things work before you try to leverage them and before you try to scale them. Okay. Okay, so let's just have a look. Let me see if I can see if there are any questions here. Just got to bring this up so make sure I've got the sound. Here we are. Okay, having a look. So we got some. Oh no, that's not the right one. Here we are. We've got it. Okay, there's some comments there. Let me just have a look. Oh gosh. Okay. Bear with me. I'm just trying to bring these questions up. They don't always show up on my screen, unfortunately. Okay, so let me have a look. I thought I had something there. Yeah, here we go. No, we got that. I could have sworn I saw a question there. Okay, it's obviously disappeared, or so come back if that was you and you did a question. I'm not seeing it. Please come back and post it again. Okay, so I just want to remind you as well to make sure that you go and grab your free guide. So 21 tools to increase sales in your creative business. So after, you know, going through this and pulling out the ones that are relevant for you, it's going to be a really quick exercise, but it's not just a list of tools. I'm actually giving you guidance as to how and when you would use these tools as well. Okay, so you're going to be able to download this, quickly go through it and implement some things. You know, I mean, I would say literally within half an hour, you're going to be able to implement things that are going to improve your business and improve your sales as well. Okay, so download that and have a look. It's completely free. So creativeflow.tv 21 tools. Okay, all right. So please, you know, have you found today's show valuable? If you have, please share it out. Okay, we want to get as many creators as possible benefiting from the creative success tips that they're getting in this show. I do this every week, by the way. So Wednesday, 4:30 GMT, 11:30 EST, same place, you know, facebook.com/creativeflowtv. So if you found today's show valuable, share it out to your contacts. Please like and comment. I have no idea who sees this unless you actually comment or share it out, because it doesn't, Facebook doesn't show me. I've met people outside networking and, you know, things like that, and they're kind of like, oh yeah, I've been watching your show, and I'm like, oh really? I had no idea. So let me know. So remember to get your freebie here as well. And I'm Una Doyle, founder of Creative Flow TV, business coach for creatives and their teams. So remember one final thing. The fortune is in the flow. So everything that you can do to apply what you learn in this show and in the other shows that I've done, go back. I was looking today, I've done 13 shows so far. This is my 14th, okay? So go back, there is a wealth of information there, loads of tips and things that you can apply to your business. So I'd love to hear from you. Comment, let me know what you think, what are the questions you have, and I will be sure to come back and answer them. Okay, have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday and rest of your week. I will see you same time next week. Bye.